You know, at Canada's Building Trades Unions, we are a nonpartisan organization, and so we don't endorse any one political party during any campaign. Affiliates can choose to endorse who they like, but at Canada's Building Trades Unions, we don't endorse any political party. And our view, and the view of the Canadian Executive Board, is that we need friends across the aisle from all political parties. And so we operate pretty well in that space, and we have developed relationships with the government, we've developed relationships with the leader of the official opposition, and we've developed relationships with the third parties in Canada. And those relationships with the Conservatives, for example, as I said during my address, help with the passing of C5. So the Conservatives supported Bill C5 in a minority parliament to make sure we could get that bill across the line and create the One Canadian Economy Act and build projects of national significance. The Conservatives also supported anti-scab legislation. Some of you may be surprised about that, but the Conservatives did support anti-scab legislation. They've supported UTIP, and they also supported the Sustainable Jobs Act, Bill C-59, which included prevailing wage, our wages, union benefits, and mandatory minimum apprenticeship. So we have established a good relationship with Mr. Poilievre, the leader of the official opposition, many members of his caucus, his labor critic, Kyle Seebeck. And it's important for us to continue to have those dialogues to help advance the interests of our members, regardless of political affiliation. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone who's going to introduce Mr. Poilievre. I'm going to welcome to the stage MP Colin Reynolds, a newly elected MP, who's a member of Parliament representing Elmwood, Transcona, and Manitoba. And Colin is a proud member of IBW Local 2085. And he's here to formally introduce our next speaker. Please, a round of applause and a warm welcome for Colin Reynolds, MP.
Mr. Speaker, no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong speech. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so proud, so honored to be in a room filled with people who really like to build things and really like to make things. I feel like sometimes bureaucrats in Ottawa take what we do for granted. The hard days, the long hours, the massive projects we've undertaken to build our country from the ground up. My name is Colin Reynolds. I'm a construction electrician. I am a 19-year union member, and I'm the sitting vice president of my local, IBW 2085. My last day on a ladder was March 21st of 2025, and now I'm the Member of Parliament for Elmwood, Transcona. I'm here today to introduce to you Pierre Poilievre, leader of Canada's Conservatives. He's someone who truly understands the hard work each and every day each and every one of us have put in to make Canada thrive. He grew up as an adopted son of two school teachers. His wife Anna came to Canada as a refugee from Venezuela, and together they have two wonderful children. Canada made them and all you a promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. The hard work pays off, and that you can buy homes in safe neighborhoods. Pierre's mission is to bring back Canada's promise. He wants to bring home the country we knew and love, unlock our resources, and make Canada the energy powerhouse on the world stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the leader of Canada's Conservative Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you very much to the newly elected Member of Parliament and IBW Vice President from Winnipeg, the great Colin Reynolds, not only for his hard work as an electrician, but also for championing the working men and women of this country. And thanks to all of you at the building trades who fight for those who make stuff, move stuff, fix stuff, and build stuff right across Canada. Your members are literally the backbone of our country, and I admire them greatly, not just because your members build our nation, but also because they do so many things that I could never do, so many skills that I could never replicate. And that is why it is an honor, indeed a humbling privilege, to serve you in Canada's Parliament. Colin, of course, is not only a past member of one of your member unions, but he is a present vice president at this time, continuing to fight for workers in the union, even as he fights for them as part of the Conservative caucus on Parliament Hill, part of Local 2085. And by the way, he tells me I'm not supposed to pronounce the E in IBW. He said the real electricians just say IBW, so it's a giveaway that you're reading it from a script otherwise. But we're very honored to have him here. He's been updating our Conservative policy to make it even more pro-worker. He's been joining with our Conservative Shadow Minister of Labour, the great Kyle Seaback, whom many of you know. And I want to bring greetings on behalf of His Majesty's loyal opposition, the Conservative Party of Canada, to you and your 600,000 members. We're proud to stand for skilled workers who are working hard every day to build this country. We're proud to stand for the electricians, the welders, pipe fitters, and other skilled trades that make up the 60 different occupations that use their calloused hands and steel-toed boots to quite literally build our country. Your theme here this week is Canada's future is union-made, and I wholeheartedly agree. In fact, I believe our president is union-made, and thank God for that. Indeed, today and throughout the year, we think of those workers who have sacrificed through workplace dangers. We prepare to mark the National Day of Mourning when we remember those Canadians, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, brothers and sisters, lost in workplace injuries. And we think of the unions that fight to make those workplaces safe so that never again do we suffer those tragedies. This solemn occasion, thank you. This solemn occasion reminds us that the tragic price that has been paid for the country that we now enjoy and the role that organized labor has played in making job sites, workplaces, and other Canadian locations safer and healthier for all. At the end of the day, we want a country that puts our workers first. In fact, it is my mission to make the Conservative Party the workers' party, and we are prepared to champion all the policies necessary to do it, but we can't do it without your help. Canada has some of the most skilled and motivated people anywhere on the planet. If you want to succeed, we need to work hard in our country to achieve that success. But unfortunately, what we have seen over the last decade is no matter how hard your members work, no matter how well they refine their skills, no matter how many extra overtime hours they add, no matter how exhausted they feel at the end of the day, they simply do not get the rewards of their work. Government inflation has driven up the cost of living by driving down the purchasing power of money. Colin was telling me about a young man in his riding he recently met, who is himself an electrician, is also offering tutoring services to high school students, and has taken on a third job, and still worries he will not be able to make his mortgage payments on a home. My friend Colin was saying earlier that his first house in Winnipeg, it cost him $80,000. And now, of course, you can't get a parking space for $80,000. And as a result, the people who build our homes, the electricians, the plumbers, the welders, and the other trades cannot afford to live in those same homes. And this remains the case, even as CHBA estimates that there were over 18,000 job losses in residential construction, just over half of them in this province in 2025. Nearly half of the builders and subcontractors across Canada are laying off workers due to a slowing market. Government gatekeepers, that is, taxes and regulation, prevent builders from building. And more money for a new home today goes to bureaucrats in office buildings than goes to the tradespeople who actually build the homes. We have $1 trillion of net investment that has fled our country over the last decade because of the slowest building permits anywhere in the OECD, the worst anti-development laws that prevent us from digging mines, building pipelines, expanding ports, or doing other work. Most of that money has left to the United States of America, where U.S. workers are making money off the investment of Canadian pension funds. There's been talk of a new pipeline to the Pacific, and amen to that. But where is it? Here we are a year after Mr. Carney became Prime Minister. There's no route, no builder, no investor, no start date, no completion date, no starting point, no end point, just announcements and promises. And while we did support Bill C-5, I will note that and we rushed it through in 5 days, giving unprecedented powers to approve projects to the Prime Minister. We're almost a year in, and there hasn't been a single solitary project approved by the C-5 agency that it created. Simply put, the Liberal government is entangling our workers and entrepreneurs in a web of taxes and bureaucracy that is holding them back. And this is a tragedy. We should be the wealthiest country in the world. We have the third most oil, the third most uranium, we're the largest and most affordable producer of natural gas. Now think about this. We are importing on a net basis our electricity, even though we have the most prodigious rivers for hydroelectricity, among the most uranium for nuclear, and the cheapest natural gas. Somehow we cannot electrify our own economy. We are importing oil from Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, even though we have one of the biggest reserves. We are the only G7 country that has no above-ground petroleum reserves to prepare for energy crises like the one we now face. And as a result of our failure to get these products to market, our dollar is worth 30% less than the US dollar, which means that we pay more for every internationally priced commodity like gasoline and food. And despite lofty and impressive rhetoric from the Prime Minister, this has not been changing. That is why Conservatives are pushing for faster and more construction. We want to repeal anti-development laws like C-69, give Canada the fastest permits anywhere in the OECD, end the ban on shipping oil off the northwest coast of British Columbia, use the powers in Bill C-5 to pre-permit sites for LNG liquefaction plants so we can convert the 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas into a liquefied form, put it on ships, and send it off to Asia and Europe, where we can turn a $3 product into an $11 product, and do that billions and billions of times over. We should be eating the Americans' lunch on LNG, my friends. We can ship to Asia and Europe in 11 days. It takes them 20 days from the U.S. Gulf Coast. Yet they've built 8 LNG liquefaction plants. We've built 1 in the last decade. We can cool LNG and gas into LNG 25% cheaper because of our cold weather. And yet, somehow they've been able to massively expand their LNG, and we have barely moved. We need to pre-approve the sites for those projects to go ahead. I propose to pass a Canadian Sovereignty Act, which will bring back production and paychecks to our country through the fastest permits and the lowest taxes. We plan to cut taxes on work, investment, energy, and home building. We'll also eliminate the red tape that has entangled your union and its members. We need to harmonize health and safety regulations across the country under your leadership so that we don't have the same tradesman doing the same course just because he went to a different province, losing a week of wages. And we should not be having any more kids working on job sites without the proper safety training. Thank you. We also want to amend the Income Tax Act to ensure that workers get the same favorable treatment as CEOs. CEOs can write off their private jets, but you have a $5,000 cap on traveling across the country. The tradesman who goes from Timmins to Fort Mac 10 times a year cannot do it on $5,000. He should have an unlimited ability to write off the cost of food, transportation, and accommodation. A basic principle of our tax system is that you get to write off the costs that you incur in order to earn your income, and that should be the case for our workers as well. Conservative MP Chris Lewis has a bill to achieve that. We also need a much-needed expansion of the UTIP program so that our union-based training centers can skill up the next generation and get them ready for the future. And I'm also proud to say that Conservatives stand foursquare with our workers. We will never support right to work. We will not reinstate Bill C-525 or C-377. We want, and furthermore, we have stood up against scabs, and we stood, I know they're not members of this particular association, but we also stood with your brothers and sisters who work as flight attendants to ensure that they get paid for every minute that they work on a plane rather than just when the plane takes off. Simply put, Conservatives believe in giving more power to workers. We also believe in collective bargaining. The best deals are at the table, and they shouldn't be undercut by temporary foreign workers. Greedy multinational corporations have brought in excess numbers of temporary foreign workers to drive down the wages of our working class youth and have ultimately prevented our kids from getting those jobs. We will get rid of the temporary foreign worker program and ensure that Canadian jobs go to Canadian kids. Thank you. Simply put, we need to unleash the genius and energy of our workers to gain bigger paychecks with dollars that preserve their buying power. We need to get government out of the way so that you can build more homes, dig more mines, and produce more wealth for all of Canada. In that way, we will become more autonomous and more affordable. We'll be more strong and self-reliant. We will have a country that serves the people who do the work. A nation where you get ahead by putting in a hard day's work, not by having the best lobbyists or the most political power. Because our country cannot work without the people who do the work. And today, Conservatives are proud to be the party of workers. Every day, I'm proud to fight for you on Parliament Hill, and I want you to know that we have the utmost respect for those who swing the hammers, turn the wrenches, build the nation, and make us strong. We will be there for you every day, in every way. Consider Conservatives to be your resource on Parliament Hill. We will always be fighting for you while you're busy building Canada. Thank you very much, and God bless our workers.